Russian President Vladimir Putin is now attacking his own people. Listen to what he said today about Russians who dare to sympathize with Ukraine or the West.
They will try to bet on the so-called fifth column, on traitors, on those who earn their money here but live over there, live not in the geographical sense, but in the way they think, with the mindset of a slave. These people cannot live without oysters and gender freedom.
Joining us now, former undercover KGB agent Jack Barsky. Jack, it's good to have you. The words from Putin today, I found some of them, frankly, terrifying. He discussed the necessity of a natural self-cleansing of society. He described people who dare to oppose him as flies to be spit out. Tell us what that means in your view. Echoes of Stalin.
You know who he was attacking, though? He wasn't attacking ordinary people. He was attacking some of the oligarchs, the ones that live mostly in London. And, he's ticked off at them because they used to be, in his camp, and all of a sudden, because of their lifestyle being threatened, they are, sort of leaving him. And there's one of the oligarchs even put a premium on on Vladimir's head. That really got him ticked off. Remember, in the past, when he first got to power, there were some oligarchs that didn't play with him. He put him in jail.
Yeah. Yep. Horovsky comes to mind. Are you worried that Putin, as his invasion force slows, meets obstacles, loses personnel by the thousands, that he becomes more, not less, ruthless?
Yeah, but that is indeed his history. I just want to make one comment. We should not willy-nilly draw red lines, because it has happened in American history not too long ago that we drew a red line in Syria. Yeah. And when the Syrian troops marched across this red line, we did nothing. You lose credibility. So we got to be really, really careful because in the escalation of this conflict is something that I think about with abhorrence.
Well, you're right to cite the dangers there. As you know, Putin has some enemies at home. Do you believe that there could be any serious internal opposition? Mikhail Gorbachev faced an unsuccessful coup in 1991 when he took the country too far towards the West. Does Putin face such a risk at home today?
Yes, but not from his inner circle. He has his old buddies that from the KGB. It's, I don't know how many, but maybe 40, 50. Their destiny is attached to his. So they're not going to move. However, there are other power players, particularly the army, the military, and perhaps somebody in the intelligence services who are not as beholden to Vladimir. And, one would think that there are some generals who are just like, raw military people who eventually will not do what he wants them to do in terms of committing more atrocities. That is a danger to Vladimir Putin for sure.
Particularly as those generals in Ukraine are seeing them lose many of their own men. Jack Barsky, good to have you on tonight.
Indeed.